one thing that we want to make a special note of in chapter 3 is Arjuna's question in sloka number 36. One question that we all have in our minds. We see so much violence and injustice happening all around us in the world. And we have the question why? Why people commit this much of violence? Why do they become go out of control, lose all their sanity, sense of propriety and reason, and do all these things? That was Arjuna's question. You can make a special note of that in sloka number 36 in 3rd chapter. Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Atha kena prayuktoyam.
Atha kena prayuktoyam.
Papam charati purushaha.
Papam charati purushaha.
Anichannapi vashneya.
Anichannapi vashneya.
Baladiva niyojitaha.
Baladiva niyojitaha.
Arjuna's question. In spite of themselves, knowingly also, as if impelled by some unseen force, why people commit wrong, sinful deeds? And kena prayuktaha, impelled by what force a person, purusha, papam charati, commits sinful deed. That was Arjuna's question. In response to that, see, the Lord says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Kama esha krodha esha.
Kama esha krodha esha.
Rajo guna samudbhavaha.
Rajo guna samudbhavaha.
Mahashano mahapatma.
Mahashano mahapatma.
Vidyena miha vairinam.
Vidyena miha vairinam.
In short, Sri Krishna's answer to that question, why people commit sinful deeds, is very simple. There is only one reason. He uses a singular pronoun, esha. Esha means this. Kama esha, krodha esha. It has two aspects. Like two sides of a coin. You can't separate the two sides. One side and another side. One side is kama, other side is krodha. If there is one present, the other one is also present. They feed on each other. Kama esha, krodha esha. This one reason why people commit sinful deeds is also called kama, also called krodha. They are two aspects of the same problem. Rajo guna samudbhavaha. It is because of the excess of rajasic tendencies in the person. Rajas itself is not bad. If rajas is combined with sattva, it can release a lot of creative energy. Lot of good can be done that can help the whole of humanity. Rajas combined with sattva is useful. It can be channeled into creative energy. That is very good. If rajas is tempered, it is combined with tamas, then it is destructive. All around it will create destruction. All kinds of miseries will come. Rajoguna, too much of rajas, samudbhavaha, born out of too much of rajas. Kama esha, krodha esha. This one problem which appears as kama is krodha. That is the reason why people do bad deeds. More details about kama krodha we studied before. Where? 2nd chapter, verses 60-63. How kama arises in the mind and how krodha arises in the mind. Kama means uncontrolled desire, unreasonable, unhealthy desire, and krodha means anger. Jayato vishayan kumsaha sangaseshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kama krodho vijayate krodhat bhavati sammoha sammoha smriti vibrama smriti vibramshan buddhinasho buddhinasha pranashyati. Kama and krodha. If anybody has a little bit of problem with krodha, I can help them. I have a simple solution, but I will tell you later. If you have anger problem, or you may not have, but your spouse may have. Or somebody in your office, or somebody in your workplace, in your family, throw that problem only I can help at this time. I have a problem, I will have a simple solution, I will tell you later on. Now let us go back to chapter 4. You can read some. Now let us go to chapter 4. Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Atha Chaturthodhyayah. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Imam Vivasvate Yogam. Proktavanaham Vivasvan Manavekraha Manurikshvakave Braveed. Sri Krishna presents his teaching, continues his teaching. He says, Imam Yogam Aham Avyayam Imam Avyayam Yogam, this imperishable knowledge, this knowledge about Karma Yoga and other things that he is going to teach in the subsequent chapters, this knowledge, Aham Proktavan, I have already instructed this. To whom? Vivasvate, to Vivasvan. Vivasvan is also called, sun god is also called Vivasvan. I have given this knowledge already a long time ago. This imperishable knowledge of Vyayam, that knowledge cannot be destroyed or diminished. It is always there. We may not be consciously aware of it, but it is there in everyone. Swami Vivekananda defined the process of education as the manifestation of perfection and knowledge already inherently present in each one of us. The education is simply the process of discovering that hidden knowledge, that hidden potential. It is in its potential form. Vivasvan Manavekraha, Vivasvan taught it to Manu Rishi. Manurikshvakave Braveed, Manu taught it to Vikshvaka. This is a common practice in Indian Vedantic scriptures, in the Puranas, in the Upanishads also to a less extent. There is this genealogy of teachers. All knowledge, we believe, originated from the Creator at the time of creation. Narayana is the originator of all knowledge. Before we start any study, any class, we have to remember all the line of teachers and pay homage to them, show respect to them. That we do before every class. Remember, we chant this Narayanam Padmabhavam Vasishtam Shaktim Jatat Putra Parasharam Cha. The sloka we chanted before every class. Narayana. Then Padmabhava means Brahma, the creator. He taught it to Vasishta to Parashara, Siddhi, and all those people. And then Shankaracharya, and then he taught it to the 4 disciples, Astamarga, Kotaka, Padmapada, and Sureshwara. And then they taught it to subsequent teachers, and then our present teachers. Sadashiva Smarambham, like this another shloka is tracing all knowledge to God, Sadashiva or Narayana. That is our tradition. We remember all the teachers and we respect to them, then we start our study. So here, that lineage is indicated in very highly abbreviated form. Only a few names are mentioned here. So, second verse. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakaleni mahata yogo nashta parantapa evam parampara praptam imam rajarshaya viduhu. Rajarshi means in those days the kings themselves were like sages. They were scholars and the promoters of scholarship also. A king like Janaka Maharshi, whose name also came in the 3rd chapter, he was not only a king, Vishwamitra also. They were also rishis, they were also sages, they had this Vedantic knowledge, and they were promoting this Vedantic knowledge. In their court, they used to hire and employ great scholars. So there is an interesting story about Janaka in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Janaka himself was a great jnani. He had achieved Brahma Jnana. Still, unlike other kings who used to give up their kingdom and everything and trust it to their son and repair to the forest to do Vanaprastha and eventually probably Sannyasashrama, Janaka did not do. He continued to serve his subjects and doing everything as service of God. Karmanai mahi samsiddhim asthita Janaka dayaha. That shloka came in the third chapter. Now Janaka had a large number of great Vedantic scholars in his asthana, in his court. He was giving them help. Their job was to study Vedanta and master all the aspects of Vedanta and also teach and propagate. That was the king's contribution. He wanted to promote the scholarship. He didn't want to let it slide. One day what happened, this sage Yajnavalkya goes to Janaka's ashram. Yajnavalkya was himself in his own right one of the greatest rishis in all the Upanishadic lore. Yajnavalkya's name should bring a thrill to those people who have studied his teachings. Mostly in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. One part of the Upanishad is called Yajnavalkya Kanda, named after him. Such a great sage. Yajnavalkya goes with his disciples to Janaka's ashrama, Janaka's court, king's court. Then Janaka had arranged a conference, just like, not very much unlike modern day conferences of learned societies where the scholars, scientists and other people, they go, they present their findings in the form of papers and postal sessions, they exchange views, what is happening latest in their field. Doctors get CMA credits, like that. Like that, Janaka had arranged a conference of all the scholars. And many scholars of his court, they were all present there. And Yajnavalkya walks in there with his disciple. Yajnavalkya was a very confident rishi. And here it is, the conference was fully justifiable conference. So Janaka had kept as prize money 1,000 very good looking healthy cows. Cattle was the index of wealth those days. And also so many ounces of gold he had kept. Each cow was decorated with golden ornaments. Whoever won in the debate on a Vedantic topic and answered the questions of everybody in the conference, that person would get that prize. That was the understanding condition. Yajnavalkya walks in, all the other rishis are sitting there, so many of them. Among them, Gargi is also sitting, a woman sage. And Yajnavalkya orders his disciple, take all these cows and the gold and take it to our ashram. He says. Then all the other scholars, they challenge, how can it be? You have not answered our question. You have to establish your supremacy of your knowledge. Satisfy it before you can take that one. How do we know that you know all the answers to all the questions? Yajnavalkya says, ask me any question you want. He says, shoot, he says. Now the rishis one by one, they stand up and they ask very difficult questions. Finally, Janaka himself asks a question, several questions. And Yajnavalkya silenced all of them by giving very satisfactory, acceptable answers. Whatever question was thrown at him, he gave convincing answers to all the questions. Whoever asked the question in the conference, then everybody became silent and agreed, yes, he is the greatest among us all. That's Yajnavalkya's story. So like that, Rajarshayo Viduhu. Rajarshi means a king is also a rishi. Such a person. Okay. Evam parampara praptam imam Rajarshayo Viduhu. Kalena saha yogaha mahata kalena nashtaha. Because of the passage of a long span of time, Mahata Palena. In course of time, everything degenerates. Entropy gradually increases, right, in course of time. So that's what happens to knowledge also. In course of time, people begin to misunderstand knowledge, and they begin to forget knowledge, and then it has to be, then again some regeneration has to be happened. Fresh boost of energy has to be used, like a booster rocket you have to give. At the appropriate time, somebody will come and they will give a fresh fillip boost to this flow of knowledge and restore it. The lost knowledge is restored. That is what has happened from time to time in our tradition. Our tradition accepts a parampara, a lineage of teachers. They all came at a time when it was necessary to come and uphold and restore the lost knowledge. So many incarnations, so many teachers, so many have been given after another when it was necessary at the appropriate time. That also it speaks about it a little bit. And then restores it to its original supremacy, original splendor. That is what Krishna is explaining here. Sakalini Mahata Yogo Nishtha. Then what happens? When that happens, restoration has to be done, and some avatara will come, some scholars Shankaracharya came and then to restore bhakti movement. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and other incarnations have come. And a series of people in human form, they have come. They are periodically keeping this up, this flow of devotion, this flow of knowledge. They are keeping it current. It's always a living, vibrant dharma in the hearts of everyone. It's not something frozen in time several centuries ago. Somebody thought it remains frozen at that time. That is may not be relevant. It needs to be reinterpreted in the light of modern conditions. That has been happening unfailingly in our tradition. In this sense, ours is the richest tradition. Today also it is living and vibrant, as fresh as it ever was. It has not lost a bit of its freshness, though many millennia have passed since the beginning of this knowledge in the time of creation. That is the beauty of our spiritual heritage, and we should be enormously happy and proud and consider ourselves fortunate to be in this tradition, part of this tradition, even in our own humble way. Then he continues. Third sloka.
Sarevayam maya edya
Yoga prokta puratana
yoga prokta puratana
bhaktosi me sakha cheti
bhaktosi me sakha cheti
rahasyam hetaduttamam.
rahasyam hetaduttamam.
The same ancient knowledge. Ayam yoga, sayeva ayam. This ayam means this yoga, puratana yoga. This ancient knowledge. Knowledge is not new, but it comes alive from time to time. It has to be restored and regenerated and reinterpreted to suit the modern conditions in a way, in a style that people of that age, of that region can understand. That is the beauty. Constant renewal is happening in our culture. Sayeva maya te yoga puratana proktaha maya te proktaha. By me this knowledge has been given to you. Or is being given to you. Who says? Sri Krishna says to Arjuna. Why he is giving this knowledge? That he is doing a favor to Arjuna. Bhakto sime sakha chaiti etad uttamam rahasyam proktaha. This supreme knowledge, secret knowledge. Rahasya means secret. Why it is secret? It is not secret in the way in which we generally use the word secret, because it is printed in so many languages and anybody can buy a copy of and read Bhagavad Gita. There is nothing secret about it in that way. It is rahasya because unless the mind is properly prepared, the real understanding, real meaning, import we will miss that one. We may read the words, but we will not be able to understand. Supposing all of a sudden, with no background in science or engineering or calculus, simply I go and somehow gain access to a graduate class in engineering or physics. Somebody is giving a lecture on quantum mechanics or finite element analysis or some engineering subject or physics subject. Somebody is giving a lecture at the graduate level. They are speaking in English, and I know English. I go and sit down there, and I don't understand one word of what that professor is saying. He is not hiding it from me. He is giving the same teaching to me as giving to other students in the class. There is nothing secret. I am sitting in the class, but nothing enters my mind, because from me that knowledge is hidden. Why? Because though I am having physical access to that place of knowledge where it is being taught, my mind is not prepared. I don't have enough background to understand what the professor is saying. It happened to one of my friends, and it's a different story. He really went to his own subject, but he didn't understand the word of what the professor was saying. Eventually he had to drop out the program. It happened in economics. In India, he was just some master's degree. He came here. Here everything is more quantitative. Everything starts with an equation in this country. You need to understand me. So that is why it is called rahasya. Maya yoga prokta puratanaha. Etat rahasyam uttamam yogaha maya proktaha te. To you today. Now it has been conveyed to you. Why? Because Mama Bhakta Si Sakha Si Cha Iti. Because you are my devotee, because you are my friend. See, if you go to the second chapter, Arjuna, after delineating all his objections, why he doesn't want to fight this and that and everything, finally he says, Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. He comes up with that expression. Te aham shishyaha mam prapannam shadi. This is what Arjuna says. Then Sri Krishna begins to teach. That means the student was prepared. Arjuna, until then, his mind was going through a turmoil during this situation like that. Then his mind becomes ready to receive the teaching that Sri Krishna is going to give. Then he surrenders himself. He says, Te aham shishyaha. I have become your disciple. I have taken the position of your disciple. Until then, they were friends. They were chums. Hey Krishna, hey Yadava, hey Sakheti, like this used to address each other. But now, teacher-student relationship has begun. Mam prapannam shadi. Prapannam means one has taken refuge in the teacher. I have taken refuge in you, accepted you as my teacher, not only my friend, but you are my teacher also from now onwards. Mam shadi. Give instruction to me. Then Sri Krishna begins. That is when the rahasya no longer remains rahasya. The secret becomes an open knowledge. We have to open our minds. Our minds are like umbrellas. It functions well only when it is open. Arjuna came to this conclusion, took this position. Now he was ready to accept Sri Krishna's teachings. Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. That's the second chapter, 10th, 11th, some place it comes. I am your disciple. I have taken refuge in you. Shadi means please teach me. That readiness, when it comes from the student, then the teacher is happy. So the receptivity is there. The student's mind is receptive and ready. Whatever teacher says, it will be grasped by the student is not ready or willing. He may be sitting in the class month after month, week after week, but nothing enters the student's head. But it's because the mind is not ready, mind is not prepared. The preparation is the key thing. If the mind is fully prepared, then not much time need pass. Quickly the student will grasp whatever the teacher says. Once the teacher says, it will be grasped by the student. So that readiness. Bhakto asine sakha sheti etat uttamam rahasyam maya te adya proktaha. By me, today it has been talking because you are my disciple, you are my friend. Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Aparam Bhavato Janma
Aparam Bhavato Janma
Param Janma Vivasvataha
Param Janma Vivasvataha
Kathametad Vijaniyam
Kathametad Vijaniyam
Swamadau Proktavaniti.
Swamadau Proktavaniti.
Arjuna rises, cannot understand something. These people, Vivaswan, Manu, Ikshvaku, all those people have been there thousands of years before. Sri Krishna is there now, standing in front of him now. How could Sri Krishna have taught those earlier people lived so many centuries ago, millennia ago? That question Arjuna is raising. Aparam Bhavato Janma. Your birth is, Aparam means now later. Aparam means later. Your birth has been later. Param Janma Vivasvataha. Vivaswan, you said, I am Vivasvate, Proktavan, like this, he said earlier. Vivaswan was born many centuries or millennia ago. Kathametad Vijaniyam. How am I supposed to know? How am I supposed to know that you taught this to Vivaswan? Who was there so many centuries ago, thousands of years ago? You are here standing in my presence, only a young man like me. Krishna was a young man at that time. And he didn't live for a very long time during the Krishna avatar into the short life. How could I have taught somebody who was there so much, such a long time ago? That was Arjuna's question. To which Sri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Bahuni me vyatitani
Bahuni me vyatitani
Janmani tavacharjuna
Janmani tavacharjuna
Tanyaham veda sarvani
Tanyaham veda sarvani
Natvam vetta parantapa.
Natvam veda parantapa.
This is fifth verse, chapter 4. So, Bhagavan continues, Sri Krishna continues his teaching. Me bahuni janmani vetitani. Tavachapi bahuni janmani vetitani. Both of us have taken so many births before, so many avatars before Krishna avatara. And for Arjuna also, so many incarnations before Arjuna was born. For us also it is true. This is not the first time that we are born. We have born so many times and we have gone through the same experience, but since we are slow learners, we are still learning. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani, tavachapi bahuni janmani vyatitani. Both of us have been born so many times. The difference is, tani aham veda sarvani. Tani sarvani janmani aham veda. I am fully aware of how many births I have taken, what I did in every birth. I am aware of all of that. Natvam veda. But you don't know, you don't even remember what happened in the early part of this life, what to speak of previous life. Is it good or bad to not remember everything that happened in the past life?
It's good.
It's a great blessing. Otherwise, we'll go, actually, literally we'll go mad. One day, Swami Brahmarupananda was giving a class. Some conversation was happening. One of the persons was present there, a disciple. He asked Swami Brahmarupananda. Brahmarupananda was a great yogi and a great bhakta, both, all combined. Sir, why don't we remember our previous birth? That was the question somebody asked Swami Brahmarupananda. Brahmarupananda gave this reply. Thank God that you don't remember your previous birth. If you remember everything that happened in the previous birth, you will go mad, you won't be able to bear it, won't be able to take it. Out of great mercy, God has given us this gift of forgetfulness. Even in this life, whatever happened from beginning until now, if you remember all of that all at once, if it comes to our mind, it will make us crazy. We don't want this protection, this great gift and the protection from God. Mercifully has given us this gift of forgetfulness of what happened in the previous birth. So, Sri Krishna is being God, of course, he remembers everything. And there was no question of forgetting that. But Arjuna was a jiva like us. Jiva, forget what happened. Tanyaham neda sarvani natvam vetta parantapa. Then Sri Krishna describes the nature of Paramatman. Ajopi sannavyayatma
Ajopi sannavyayatma
bhutanam ishvaropi san
Bhutanam Ishvaropi san
prakritim swamadhisthaya
Prakritim Swamadhisthaya
sambhavamyatmamayaya.
Sambhavatyatmamayaya.
Really, Paramatman is free from birth and death. Ajo nityaha sashvatam purano. Like this we studied in the second chapter. There is birth for that. Birth and death and everything, all these Shadvikara, 6 changes, apply accrue to whom? To Jivas it applies. To all the other objects in this Prakriti it applies. Birth and death and the 4 changes in between. We have studied all of that. But the Paramatman, where is beginning, where is end? He is Kalatita, beyond the domain of time and space. Time and space also are in the domain of creation only. Before Big Bang, where was the time, where was the space? They all came at the time of creation. So he is beyond all these things. Kalatita, beyond all these things. Ajopi san, though I am birthless by nature, pure consciousness. How can there remain in birth or death or any change for that matter? Avyayatma api san, though I am imperishable. Bhutanam ishvaro api san, though I am the head of all the beings, I am the lord of all the beings. Bhuta means all the beings. Ishvaro api san. Swam Prakratim Adhisthaya Atmamaya Sambhavami. By controlling my own Prakriti, by presiding over my own powers, Atmamaya Sambhavami, because of my power, my God's power, to create and create this whole universe, make it appear. He himself appears like the universe. That is due to his power of Maya. In that creation, there is no volition. There is no purpose. Why world was created? People ask, but there is no purpose because there is no volition. You didn't sit down one day, I will create the world. I will make people, I will make some people good, I will make some people bad. There was no such volition, purpose. It is only if you accept one's philosophy called Vivartavada, it becomes clearer. Supposing the rope appears like a snake, is there any intention on the part of the rope to appear like a snake? It has no intention. It does not go to the makeup shop and buy, wants to make itself up and makes want to appear like a snake to confuse people. It does not simply, its nature is to be. Its nature rope is to be, that is all. There is nothing else beyond that one. But it is our problem that we misperceive it as a snake and cry, oh, snake has come, like that. On the part of the rope, there is no intention. To appear like a snake, to confuse people or anything, it is just a misperception. That power is called Maya. Atma Maya Sambhavami appears in the form of human incarnation. Why does he appear as incarnation? That is explained in the next 2 verses. Why does he do this one? That is explained in the next 2 verses. 7th verse. Yada yada hi dharmasya
Yada yada hi dharmasya
glanir bharata
Glanir bhavati bharata
abhyuthanam dharmasya
Abhyuttanam dharmasya
tadatmanam srujamyaham.
Tadatmanam srujamyaham.
Whenever there is a little bit of need for restoration of dharma, dharmasya glanir bhavati. Glani means loss or hampering, reduction. What does it say here? Shankara's commentary says, yada yada hi dharmasya glani hanihi varnashramani lakshanasya pranina garbhya nishrayasa sadhanasya bhavati bharata. Abhyudaya nishrayasa. Shankaracharya mentions, commenting on this verse. There are 2 major goals in our life. 4 purusharthas condensed into 2. One is called Abhyudaya, another is called Nishrayasa. Let us try to understand because that has come in the commentary. Abhyudaya means everything that we do to ensure well-being in our present life, worldly life. We want to have a reasonable amount of property, possession. We want to have a house, a roof over our heads. We need to have clothes. We need to have money to buy groceries. We need to have food. We need to have other facilities. We need to have all those things we need. All the effort we put in to acquire those necessities of life, and a little bit beyond the necessities too. It's not enough if you make minimum wage, you have to make a little bit more than the minimum wage. That effort, that endeavor is called abhyudaya, worldly well-being. Everything that we do to ensure our worldly well-being, happiness in this worldly life, that is called abhyudaya. That we have to do. It is mentioned in the Upanishad. Vedanta does not mean you should be indigent and pure and living under a tree. It does not, never says that one. The Upanishad, it says, Kushalan pramaditavyam, bhutyaina pramaditavyam. You should never refrain from ensuring your worldly well-being. Certain amount of money, property, possessions, things must be acquired. You don't have to be indigent and poor. Swami Brahmarupananda says, a householder, in the Karma Yoga lectures, he says, a householder who does not strive to generate enough resources, that means make money, he is failing in his duty, he is being immoral. Money is not bad in good hands, Swami says. That part of our life, we have to do that one. All householders have a duty to generate enough resources to ensure well-being of their own families plus other people who need help, who cannot generate their own resources. Second, that is not all. That does not exhaust our endeavors. We have to think about our spiritual life also. The highest good, nishreyasa. The second part of our life is striving for spiritual illumination. That effort is called nishreyasa. Abhyudaya, nishreyasa. When people forget to do these two things, only greedily reach for abhyudaya, not stopping where a reasonable amount of resources have been generated, and forgetting to do nishreyasa, then dharmasya glavirbhavati. Then dharma needs to be upheld. It has to be restored. At the time an incarnation happens. Yada dharmasya glavirbhavati. Adharmasya abhyuthanam bhavati. When adharma raises its head, tada atmanam srijamyaham, then I assume an incarnation. Incarnation is a human form. Because only in human form we can accept as a teacher. For human beings to receive some knowledge from some source, that source has to be another human being, a more knowledgeable person. If a frog comes and says, I'm your teacher, you will dismiss that one. How can you teach me only a frog? I am a human being. Like that one. So for frogs, a big frog has to be the teacher. In the frog world, incarnation will be in the form of a big frog. In the tiger world, incarnation will be in the form of a big tiger. The tiger story, the big tiger came and told, remained, you are not a sheep, you are a tiger. Only a tiger could tell that to the small tiger. If a human being goes near the small tiger, tells you are not a sheep, you are a tiger, they won't listen. It may even try to answer me. But it has to be in the same species. Tadatmanam srijamyaham. The next verse is a continuation. What is the purpose of such of incarnation? Dual incarnation is explained. These two slokas you often keep hearing in movies also, the family slokas. Very common. Pranaya sadhunam
Paritranaya sadhunam
Vinashaya cha dushkritam
Vinashaya cha dushkritam
Dharma samsthapanarthaya
Dharma samsthapanarthaya
Sambhavami yuge yuge
Sambhavami yuge yuge.
Sadhunam paritranaya. Tarane is the word. Paritrana means helping somebody to cross over some difficult situation or a expanse of water. Prana. Paritranaya sadhunam, for good people to succeed in their life of seeking abhyudaya nishreyasa. Dushkritam cha vinashaya, to give a corrective message to the people who have a tendency to do bad deeds. Earlier we saw in the third chapter, Arjuna's question, Athakena Vayuktoyam Papam Charati Purusha, that was sloka we did earlier this morning also. When some people have that tendency, then they have to be given a corrective message. Vinashaya Dushkritam, Dharma Samsthapanarthaya, to establish Dharma. Yuge Yuge Sambhavami, in every age I reincarnate. That is Sri Krishna's message. Janma karma cha me divyam,
Janma karma cha me divyam,
evam yo vetti tattvataha,
evam yo vetti tattvataha,
tyaktva deham punarjanma,
tyaktva deham punarjanma,
naiti mameti sorjuna.
naiti mameti sorjuna.
Person, Vetti means a person who knows. Yahweh, one who knows my true nature, the purpose of my incarnation, though he appears in a human form, in a human frame, he is actually the divine. Seeing the divine behind the human form. When you are able to do that, then our education is complete. Deham tyaktva punarjanma na eti mam eti. That person who sees the divine behind the human form, in the human form, when he succeeds in doing that one, for such a person there is no rebirth, that means schooling is complete and you can graduate. You don't have to be born again as a human being. Punarjanma neiti, he does not achieve, he does not have to be born again. Your purpose of human birth will have been completed, will have been achieved. Mahameti, he reaches the divine. If you generalize this message a little bit of stretching we can do. Not only seeing Krishna as an incarnation of God, that is of course understood, meant here, but going beyond that and seeing everything as the divine. Not only Krishna's form, which we start from there, but we don't stop there. When we see Krishna's form, we bow down, we see Lord himself standing there in that human frame, in that human form, we recognize that one. But what about other people? What about wicked people? What about elephants and tigers and trees and plants? What about the sun and star and moon? They are also the forms of the divine. There is no place where you can end this vision. Everything, the whole universe is nothing but He Himself appearing in disguise as this world. There is no separate two different beings. The Lord Himself, whatever I am seeing through my eyes, whatever I am hearing through my ears, whatever I am sensing through my sense organs and perceiving through my mind, everything, nothing but He. When that lesson has been learned, then there is no I separately, there is no object to be known. I becomes merged in He, and He alone remains. That is the message in the Upanishads. He who sees the same divine in all the beings, and all the beings in the self alone, for such a person there is no rebirth, there is no occasion, there is no reason. Learning has been complete, that's the lesson. That is what Sri Krishna is indicating. Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha
Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha
Manmaya Mamupashrita
Manmaya Mamupashrita
Bahavo Jnana Tapasa
Bahavo Jnana Tapasa
Uta Madbhavamagata
Uta Madbhavamagata.
Bhagavaha, Janaha, we can add many people. Bhagava means many. Many people have achieved this goal of reaching the divine. Madbhavam agataha. Puta means they have been purified. I said purification of the mind. Why we don't see God, it's a interesting topic. Why we don't see God? Last week that was the topic of my Sunday talk in Maryland. Why we don't see God? One reason, many reasons. One reason is our minds are not ready for perception. And just like the old example, if your mind is not ready, I may be sitting in the class in the lecture listening to the professor's presentation, but I won't be able to understand anything because my mind is not prepared, is not ready. God is present always, everywhere, in every form. But since I am not ready to perceive his form, I am seeing the form only, I am missing the essence. I am seeing the costume, I don't know that there is a person standing behind the costume. This is what the Upanishad says. The Upanishad says, whichever form you are looking at the outward form, but behind that form is the Purusha, is the Paramatma, is the Divine. What you are seeing through the senses is the outer covering only. Tvam Stri, Tvam Pumanasi, Tvam Kumara Utava Kumari, Tvam Jirno Dandena Vanchasi, Tvam Jato Bhavasi Vishvato Mukhaha. Like this one mantra is there in Shvetashvatara Upanishad. You see a female form, oh, she is a woman standing there. Then we see the outer covering. She is younger, older, American or Indian. What kind of dress she is wearing, what kind of car she is driving, what language she is speaking. Same thing, Tom Pumanas. You see a man standing there. Oh, he is who is this man? Is he the priest in the temple, or is he a Swami? Is he somebody who has come to do darshan? Like this, we see the outer aspects of that person. These are all outer aspects. Tvam Kumara, you see a child, then will ask the child, what is your name, what grade you are in, like that. Utava Kumari, or little girl. We ask the child, what is your name, what grade you are in, did you buy this dress here or in India, like this. We ask those questions. Tvam Jirno Dandena Vanchasi. We see an old man. Jirna means a person with a dilapidated, worn out body. Dandena Vanchasi. With the help of a staff, that person is walking slowly, unable to walk freely, independently, upright. In that form also, Tvam Jato Bhavasi Vishvato. In all those forms, in every form, he himself is the resident consciousness. He is himself the resider. He is there inside. The jnanis can pierce through the misleading shell of appearance, the costume, which is the human frame is the costume. Man, woman, child, boy, girl, all these things. But behind that costume, that Atman is there, that jnanis can see. They disregard the costume. They see the Atman inside you. But an ordinary person is carried away by the costume. Forget this, that Atman is inside that form. That is the difference. Between the jnanis and ordinary people, the difference is one and very simple. We are both looking at the same object. We are thinking it is the world, oh, this is good, that is bad, these are good people, these are bad people, this is happy, this is unhappiness, this is happiness, this is pleasure, pain, all these things. We are looking at this. Jnanis are looking at the same world, they are seeing it as a divine. In the very formless as a divine. We are seeing the same thing. Only one object is there. You can see it as the world you can see. Come to wrong conclusions, react in the wrong way, or you can see it as the divine and give the correct understanding, get the correct understanding. This is the experience of all the sages. This is the basis for Samadarshitva. This understanding is the basis for all our culture, our customs, our values, our beliefs, our festivals, our traditions, our celebrations, our law, our moral, ethical rules. Everything, this is the basis. That one divine is present in all the forms. If you ask why we should not tell lies, all the parents tell their children, don't tell lies, don't cheat, don't steal other people's property. We all receive that instruction. We give the same instruction to our children. They will ask why I should not steal somebody else's property. Then we say, if you steal, you will be put in jail. That is true. But that is not all of the reason. There is this approximate reason. If I tell lies, then I will be punished for perjury. If I steal, I may be sent to jail for stealing. If I cheat, that may be a punishable offense in the eyes of the society. So, for mere maintain social order and law, we should not do all these things. That is approximate justification. But Vedanta goes much deeper than that one. If I lie to somebody, who am I lying to? If I cheat someone, whom am I cheating? If I cause injury, pain, loss to somebody, to whom am I causing injury, loss and pain? Because in all these forms, in you, in me, Tvayi Maicha Anyatra Eko Vishnu. Shankaracharya is saying, in me, in you, in him, in her, in it, everything the same divine, one divine is present. That is the ultimate ground justification for all the rules and laws and regulations. But we don't speak about that. We speak about the social, the proximate reason. That is also good enough. That itself is good. But Vedanta goes much deeper than that. That is the understanding that Sri Krishna is trying to. The ninth verse we are doing. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha. When a person knows this, the same word, tenth one we are doing. Vitara vayakroda manmaya mamupashritaha bahavo jnanatvasa kuta maddhavamagata. When their mind becomes purified means correct perception has been gained. Incorrect perception has been given up or overcome. We don't anymore confuse the person to be the costume. We keep aside the costume. Behind the costume, person is standing there. We know who is standing there. That is jnana. Thinking the person to be the costume, being misled by the costume itself, somebody comes wearing a tiger mask. Then if I look closely, I know one person is standing there. He is just playing a game, putting the tiger mask and appearing to be trying to frighten me, making me think he is a tiger. I know he is not. There is no tiger can come here in the temple. There is a person standing there wearing a tiger's mask. I know that knowledge. I won't be any more confused. Frightened, think it's a real tiger. That is jnana. But if I think really tiger has come and you run and scream and yell and scream and create a record, tiger like that one, only a costume is a tiger costume. Behind the costume, person is standing. I don't know that person is standing there. That is ajnana. Bhuta means a person whose mind has been purified of this ajnana. There is no more misperception any longer. Whether you see a man or a woman or a child, a boy or a girl or any nationality, younger, old, richer, poor, knowledgeable or ignorant, whatever, good or bad, wicked person or saintly person, whomever, whatever I see, inanimate object also, a tiger also, a plant, a tree also, whatever I see, whomever I see, I am seeing the divine form I am seeing the divine behind that form. That is jnana, that is purification of the mind. Now our mind is not ready to do that one. Sometimes it is, sometimes it is not. If I see a saintly person, I feel like going down to him. Because his purity, his spirituality is radiating, purifying the ambience, the vicinity. So we all are affected by that one. When you see a Mahatma, you all go down. Instinctively we go down. We recognize instantly that there is divinity in this person. But I see a wicked person. Then what do? Then I either run away out of fear or I call the police or do something. When robbers went to Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi's ashramam, they had sticks also. They were thinking that these 2-3 people who were living there with Bhagavan, they were thinking that these people are posing to be poor people, but they actually have stashed some money in the ashram. They were looking for that money. But there was no money. There was no money in the ashram. They were getting some food by begging or something, eating. Simple life they were leading. But they were asking, where is the money? Where have we hidden? They said, we don't have any money here. They said. Bhagavan said, and his associates said. But they didn't believe. They started beating sticks. They bet, Bhagavan also on one side at his body. He said, he beat me on the other side also. He shows. Exactly what the Bible says. Whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, show him thy left. The Lord said. Exactly it is. Because he did not see them as robbers, he saw them as the divine. Doing this play already, you want to play, beat me already. Their vision is different. Our vision is different. We see the same form. That is Bhutam Bhavamagatam. That is the goal of seeing the divine behind all forms. Where the question of anger came, Because when the mind is clouded with these impurities such as kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, bhaya, ityadi, that means anger, lust, jealousy, greed, delusion, pride, and fear. All these things are clouding our vision like a cataract lens. Lens is cataract. You can't see clearly. Everything appears blurred. When that is cleared by any kind of spiritual practice, then we see things as they are, not as they appear. We disregard the shell of human personality, human frame or animal or plant or whatever. We see straight the divine inside, divine presence inside. That is true vision. Yaha pashyati, saha pashyati. That's what Sri Krishna says in 3 places in the Gita. Samam sarveshu bhodeshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyatsu avinashyantam yaha pashyati saha pashyati. He who sees, indeed is a seer. Otherwise we see, we think we see, we don't see at all. We are not seers. Who is a true seer is one, a true seer is one who disregards the misleading shell of appearance, outer personality, and pierces, has an incisive vision to see the divine presence behind that misleading personality of the human frame or animal frame or plant or whatever. He is a true seer. Sarveshu bhuteshu samam tishtantam parameshwaram. In all the beings, the same extent, Parameshwara, same Parameshwara is sitting. We don't see that, jnani see that. That is what Sri Krishna is explaining in the 10th verse.